Okay, let's dive right into this. The strategic expansion, unpacking the Digvijaya Parva. Welcome to today's explainer, where we're going to unpack a truly fascinating narrative of strategic military expansion straight from our source material. We're looking at a classical text that outlines an event known as the Digvijaya Parva. Now, this isn't just some dry, simple historical account of ancient battles. It actually serves as this brilliant structural blueprint for scaling power, managing vital resources, and orchestrating a massive multi-front campaign. Today, we're going to break down exactly how a single kingdom takes the ambitious leap to transform itself into a dominant empire through calculated, synchronized movements. It's essentially an ancient masterclass in scaling up.
Listen to this demand right here. I desire, O best of monarchs, to make the kings of the earth pay tributes to us. This is Arjuna speaking, and wow, it drops us right into the absolute core tension of our source text. He's not mincing words here, and he is certainly not being subtle. He is laying out a highly ambitious demand directly to his king. You see, this isn't about mere territorial defense. It's about the absolute pressing necessity of swelling a kingdom's treasury by extracting tribute from surrounding monarchs. It just perfectly sets the stage for the massive undertaking that follows.
So let's ground ourselves early with the overarching framework of this text, the Digvijaya Parva. Literally translated, this means the conquest of the directions. I really want you to keep this definition in mind, because this is the operational blueprint for the entire campaign. We aren't looking at a random, chaotic series of skirmishes. What the source describes is a highly synchronized, continent-spanning campaign executed for one primary, unyielding purpose, which is amassing wealth and consolidating supreme power. It's quite literally about looking at the compass, dividing up the map, and conquering it systematically.
But hey, before you can conquer the world, you need an inventory check, right? You've got to realistically assess what you already have at your disposal. Arjuna has secured the best of bows, a couple of inexhaustible quivers, a celestial car of wonderful achievements, a specific flagstaff, and a grand assembly house. Basically, he's acquired the ancient equivalent of a fully fueled private jet and literally limitless venture capital funding. He explicitly catalogs these alongside his great energy, allies, territory, fame, and army. What this perfectly illustrates is a universal strategic principle. You must securely establish, equip, and fortify your local base of operations before you can ever attempt to scale up to a massive campaign.
Now, what's really fascinating here is the crucial pivot Arjuna makes right after listing those assets. He has all these incredible divine and terrestrial tools, but he doesn't just sit back and admire them. He tells King Yudhisthira, "I think, therefore, that what should now be done is for the swelling up of our treasury." He is directly leveraging his military and divine acquisitions into a massive economic strategy. The weapons and the assembly house are simply the means to an end. The ultimate goal here is executing an aggressive economic expansion. Because, as any strategist knows, you simply cannot run or expand an empire on an empty vault.
Let's move to how this builds into the fascinating dynamic between our two key leadership figures. On one hand, we have Arjuna's fiery, driving ambition. He wants to set out under a favorable constellation, specifically to plunge their enemies into sorrow. But contrast that with King Yudhisthira. The text explicitly notes that Yudhisthira replies in a grave and collected tone. While Arjuna wants to crush enemies, Yudhisthira frames the outcome as filling his friends with joy. We are seeing the urgent, fiery ambition of the military initiator, perfectly balanced by the grounded, measured, and stabilizing response of the supreme leader.
And this brilliantly illustrates the exact flow of leadership when authorizing a massive, high-stakes campaign. Yudhisthira doesn't just wave his hand and say, "Yeah, go for it." No way. He follows a highly structured authorization process. First, he listens in that grave and collected tone. Second, he insists on securing the benedictions of holy brahmanas, ensuring the campaign has the proper spiritual and cultural backing before anyone even marches. Think of this like a modern CEO securing full board and stakeholder approval before a massive hostile takeover. You absolutely need the right institutional backing. Finally, he formally blesses Arjuna, assuring him that victory will surely be his and his desires will be fulfilled. This shows us exactly how a leader effectively empowers and releases their generals for a massive undertaking.
So, with the king's blessing secured, the strategy is immediately put into action, and it becomes an absolute masterpiece of delegation. 4 brothers, 4 massive armies, 4 points on the compass. Arjuna takes the north, noted as the direction presided over by the Lord of Treasures. Bhimasena is sent to overcome the east by force. Sahadeva marches out to the south, and Nakula, who the text notes is acquainted with all weapons, conquers the west. By breaking down this massive overarching goal through highly specialized geographical delegation, they ensure the entire map is systematically brought under subjugation without anyone stepping on each other's toes.
So the crucial point here is what the supreme leader is doing while all this intense fighting and conquering is happening across the 4 directions. The text explicitly states that while his brothers were employed in this massive campaign, King Yudhisthira stayed within Khandavaprastha in the enjoyment of great affluence, surrounded by friends and relatives. Now, why is this so important? Because the ultimate leader must anchor the kingdom at the center. Khandavaprastha is the base. While the brothers are out executing high-risk, expansive field operations, the king remains safely positioned to maintain the stability, the administrative core, and the affluence of the empire. He is the stabilizing center of gravity.
And just how effective is this 4-pronged, delegated campaign? Well, let's look at the reaction of King Bhagadatta from the text to give us a clear idea. Upon being confronted by this rapidly expanding power, his response is one of total eager submission. He literally declares, "I shall do all this. Tell me what else I may do for thee." This perfectly captures the immediate success and terrifying efficiency of their strategy. The surrounding kings aren't just being dragged into drawn-out, exhausting conflicts. They are eagerly falling into line, instantly transforming the campaign's original goal of swelling the treasury into an immediate, tangible reality.
Which brings us to the final, provocative thought I want to leave you with in this explainer. The strategy worked flawlessly. The map is conquered, tribute is pouring in from kings like Bhagadatta, and the treasury is absolutely overflowing just like Arjuna desired. But that leaves us with one massive, lingering question. With the treasury swelling and the 4 corners conquered, what happens when a kingdom achieves ultimate affluence? We've systematically broken down how to build the empire and gather the wealth. But building the empire is one thing. Surviving its success is an entirely different, perhaps even more complex challenge. Think about that for a bit. Thank you so much for joining us for today's explainer, and we'll see you next time.